Right now, in a semi-open prison in Delhi, a convicted rapist and murderer who wakes up each morning, walks out of the prison gates, and goes about his day. He has a law degree earned behind bars. A Delhi High Court recently noted elements of reformation, and a government board, the Sentence Review Board, is reconsidering whether he should walk free. His victim was 25 years old. She was weeks away from finishing law school. She had filed 4 separate police complaints against this man. 4 complaints documenting escalating stalking, threats, and violence. 4 times, the system took his apologies, handed them back to her, and sent her home. And then, on January 23, 1996, she was found dead. But the most extraordinary part of this story is not the murder. It is not even the stalking. It is what a judge wrote in his own verdict. Though I know he is the man who committed the crime, he acquitted him anyway. This is the case of Priyadarshini Mattoo. But before we reach that courtroom, we have to understand who she was, because the system failed her in life before it failed her in death. Priyadarshini Mattoo was born on July 23, 1970, in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. She was a Kashmiri Pandit, a member of the Hindu minority community that had called the Kashmir Valley home for generations. And then, in 1989 and 1990, the valley changed. Militancy rose, killings escalated. An estimated 100,000 Kashmiri Pandits were forced to flee their homes. The Mattoo family was among them, leaving behind everything familiar, relocating first to Jammu, and then, eventually, to Delhi. They were starting over. What strikes you when you piece together who Priyadarshini was is how completely she owned that new beginning. She did not fold. She rebuilt. She completed her BCom and then her MCom by 1991. When other families were still finding their footing, she was already building credentials. In 1993, she enrolled at Campus Law Center, Faculty of Law, Delhi University, working toward her LLB, a law degree on top of 2 commerce degrees. A woman in her mid-20s, already accomplished, choosing to add another qualification. Her family described her as driven, ambitious, and fiercely independent. She was also, by all accounts, someone who laughed easily. A tomboy, her family said, not at all submissive. She loved animals. She played guitar. She sang. Her father, Chamanlal Mattoo, was a retired chief engineer at All India Radio, a quiet, respected man who, as we will see, would spend the rest of his life fighting for the daughter he lost. He never stopped. By January 1996, Priyadarshini was in her final semester at law school. She had 5 months of lectures left, perhaps a few more months of exams. She was weeks away from finishing everything she had worked for. On the 23rd of January, 1996, her last day, she attended her noon class at the Faculty of Law, returned home to Vasant Kunj with her assigned police protection officer, and asked him to come back at 5:30 in the evening. He came back at 5:30. He found her body under the double bed. To understand how that happened, we have to go back 2 years, because the man who killed Priyadarshini Mattoo had been in her life long before that day. Santosh Kumar Singh had graduated from Campus Law Center in December 1994. Priyadarshini was still studying there, a junior he had noticed on campus. According to court records, Santosh became, as the Supreme Court would later put it, besotted with her. He made indecent proposals. She rejected him. He did not stop. The stalking that followed was not impulsive. It was systematic, and it escalated step by step over 14 months. He followed her car through Delhi traffic, stopping beside her at every red light. He telephoned her repeatedly at home and at AIIMs, where her mother had been admitted. He came to the residence of a family relative and tried to force his way in. On Valentine's Day, 1995, he sent a bouquet to her home with a note, "With love from Santosh." She was actively trying to avoid him at the time. In October 1995, he filed a complaint with Delhi University alleging she was pursuing 2 degrees simultaneously. A false, malicious accusation. The university withheld her 5th semester LLB results pending investigation. He used the system itself as a weapon against her. Priyadarshini was not passive throughout this. She fought back. She filed at least 4 formal police complaints, each one documenting the escalation. 4 times, she sat across from police officers and said, "This man is dangerous. This man will not stop." 4 times, she received apologies on his behalf, or undertakings that he would behave, or was told to compromise. A personal security officer was eventually assigned to accompany her. She had official protection. And on the morning of January 23rd, 1996, everything the system had promised her turned out to mean nothing, because that afternoon, Santosh Kumar Singh found her alone. The evidence, as established in court, places Santosh Kumar Singh at Priyadarshini Mattoo's residence at Vasant Kunj on the afternoon of January 23rd, 1996. A neighbor, Kupuswamy, prosecution witness 2, saw Santosh at her door at approximately 4:50 in the afternoon. He was carrying his motorcycle helmet. The visor was intact. At approximately 5:30 that evening, PSO Rajinder Singh returned to the residence. He found the house in disarray, and under the double bed, he found Priyadarshini Mattoo's body. According to the post-mortem report, she had sustained 19 separate injuries. 3 ribs were fractured. She had been bludgeoned with a blunt object, consistent with the motorcycle helmet. She had been strangled with a heat convector cord pulled from the room. At the crime scene, investigators recovered fragments of a broken motorcycle helmet visor, smeared with the victim's blood, the same visor that had been intact an hour earlier. DNA evidence from vaginal swabs was sent to the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology in Hyderabad. The samples were analyzed by Dr. Lalji Singh, an internationally recognized forensic geneticist. They matched Santosh Kumar Singh's blood profile. When Santosh was brought before police that night, a doctor found a fresh fracture on the 5th metacarpal of his right hand. 3 independent medical experts would later testify the fracture was between 48 and 72 hours old. Consistent with January 23rd, Santosh claimed he had injured his hand in an accident on January 14th. He claimed he had not been to her residence that day. The CBI built what appeared to be an airtight case. 13 circumstances, all pointing in one direction. And yet, what happened in that courtroom 3 years later would leave an entire country speechless. The Delhi police registered FIR number 50 of 1996 on the night of the murder. Within 24 hours, something significant happened. The Delhi government requested that the Central Bureau of Investigation take over. The reason was documented clearly. The accused's father, J.P. Singh, was a senior IPS officer, serving as Joint Commissioner of Police in Delhi, the second most powerful officer in the very police force investigating his son. The trial court, examining the record years later, would state directly, the influence of the father has been there in the matter, and there was deliberate inaction. The CBI took over under DSPA K. Ori. Over the course of the investigation, 50 prosecution witnesses were examined. The defense called none. The DNA evidence, vaginal swabs analyzed at CCMB Hyderabad, was a cornerstone of the case. Dr. Lalji Singh's findings placed Santosh's genetic profile at the scene. There was the broken helmet visor, the neighbor's eyewitness testimony, the fractured hand, the 14 months of documented stalking, the 4 police complaints, each one recorded. Then there was Virender Prasad, the domestic help who police claimed they could not locate. A journalist later traced him without difficulty to his village in Bihar. He was never produced as a witness. In June 1996, the case was committed to the Additional Sessions Court. Charges were framed under sections 302 and 376 of the Indian Penal Code, murder and rape. Trial began on August 11, 1997. The prosecution, in the view of the CBI, had built a case that could not fail. They were wrong. On December 3, 1999, Additional Sessions Judge G.P. Thareja delivered his verdict. The judgment ran to 450 pages. Over those pages, the judge confirmed 13 separate circumstances pointing to Santosh Kumar Singh's guilt. He confirmed the stalking. He confirmed the pattern of harassment. He placed Santosh at the scene through witness testimony. He noted the broken helmet visor. He found 12 of the 13 circumstances proved. And then, in a sentence that would become one of the most haunting lines in Indian legal history, the judge wrote, "Though I know he is the man who committed the crime." He was, the judge wrote, constrained to acquit him because of the benefit of the doubt. The reason? The DNA evidence. Judge Thareja rejected the DNA analysis as, in his words, fabricated. He cited a 3-day gap before the vaginal swabs were deposited in the CBI's Malkana storage facility. He noted apparent overwriting in the Malkana register. He identified 8 milliliters of blood he described as unaccounted for. The judge had, it later emerged, independently studied textbooks on DNA science to reach this conclusion, setting aside the testimony of internationally recognized forensic experts. He ruled that Inspector Lalit Mohan had created false evidence and a false defense for the accused. Santosh Kumar Singh walked out of court a free man. He lived freely for nearly 7 years. He married. He had a daughter. He practiced law at Tis Hazari courts in Delhi, the same courts that had just acquitted him. He went about his life. CBI filed an appeal in the Delhi High Court on February 29, 2000. The appeal sat dormant. For 6 years, there were no significant hearings. The Mattoo family waited. Then, on February 21, 2006, Manu Sharma was acquitted in the Jessica Lal murder case. The public response was volcanic. The 2 cases, a young woman shot dead at a party, a young woman stalked and murdered in her home, became linked in the national consciousness as twin symbols of a system that protected the powerful and abandoned the vulnerable. Under extraordinary public pressure, the Delhi High Court ordered day-to-day hearings in the Mattoo appeal, a procedural rarity in India. Hearings began on August 31, 2006. In 42 days, Justices R.S. Sodhi and P.K. Basin reversed everything. They found all 13 circumstances proved. They upheld the DNA evidence as entirely reliable. They called Judge Thareja's acquittal perverse. They wrote that it murdered justice and shocked the judicial conscience. On October 17, 2006, Santosh Kumar Singh was convicted of rape and murder. On October 30th, the court sentenced him to death. He was rearrested the same day. He appealed to the Supreme Court. And in 2010, the country's highest court would have the final word, a word that Priyadarshini's father spent the rest of his life questioning. On October 6, 2010, Justices H.S. Bedi and C.K. Prasad of the Supreme Court of India delivered their judgment. They upheld the conviction. Rape, murder, confirmed. The DNA evidence, the Supreme Court ruled, was entirely admissible. The trial court's rejection of it built on the judge's independent study of DNA textbooks and the dismissal of recognized forensic expertise, was called perverse. The judgment became a landmark precedent for DNA evidence in Indian courts. But on the question of the death sentence, the court commuted it. Life imprisonment. The reasoning: the case rested on circumstantial evidence, not eyewitness testimony. Santosh had been 24 at the time of the crime. During the years of wrongful acquittal, through no mechanism of his own making, he had married and had a daughter. His father had died. The court found, on balance, that there was a possibility of reform. Shaman Lal Mattoo, Priyadarshini's father, publicly stated his deep disappointment. He continued to fight. He died in 2016. He never saw the final chapter close. Today, Santosh Kumar Singh is in a semi-open prison in Delhi with daily exit privileges. He has earned a law degree behind bars. Positive conduct reports have been filed. A social welfare department recommendation in his favor exists. In July 2025, a Delhi High Court judge noted, "I have found some element of reformation in him." The Sentence Review Board, an executive body chaired by Delhi's Home Minister, was ordered to reconsider his premature release. The deadline was approximately November 2025. As of March 2026, no public decision has been reported. The family of Priyadarshini Mattoo continues to oppose his release. Her brother, Hemant Mattoo, met the Delhi Home Minister on her birth anniversary, July 23, 2025, to say, "Not yet, not after this." And so, 30 years on, the case that was supposed to be over still is not. What Priyadarshini Mattoo's case reveals is not a single failure. It is a system in which failure was the default response to a woman asking for protection. She filed 4 complaints. Each one was resolved with apologies. His apologies, handed to her, as if her safety were a negotiation between consenting parties. She had an assigned police protection officer. He was not there when it mattered. She had a justice system that heard her case, found 12 of 13 facts proved against her killer, and acquitted him. And then, when justice finally came, it arrived only because another woman was murdered, only because the country was furious, only because media pressure made inaction politically impossible. Priyadarshini Mattoo did everything right. She documented, she reported, she followed every process available to her. And at every checkpoint, the system made a choice, not in her favor. There is one question this case has never definitively answered. Virender Prasad, the domestic help who police said they could not find, was traced by a journalist within days, alive and available in his Bihar village. He was never brought to testify. What would he have said? Stay vigilant, stay curious. This is Crime Unmasked.